Our ideas of victory often involve defeating an enemy outside ourselves, a terrorist, a Naxalite, a monster, not within. This book, War and Forgiveness, has been written by Ryan Lobo. The author is also a filmmaker and photographer. The book is a journal of what he saw and experienced in war-struck Afghanistan, Iraq, and Liberia. I'm meeting him today to get an insight into his creative journey and experiences in filming war. Ryan, welcome to Chai with Lakshmi, and thanks for the lovely cup of tea.
For sure.
I would like to know about where your creative journey started from.
I went to college in Bangalore. I went to St. Joseph's Art and Science College, and then I went to the US to do a master's, which I did not finish. I did not complete it, and I was very restless. I came back to Bangalore. I set up an ad agency with a friend of mine, Nagesh Mani, and we ran that for a while. But then I left and started making documentary films. So over many years of making documentary films, mostly for National Geographic Television, I discovered that I enjoyed working alone, which entailed, for the most part, me taking photographs, which I did a lot on these trips. And I like the whole idea of working alone, because when you make films, you work with various people, various ideas, various backgrounds, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily correspond with your way of looking at the world. But with photography and writing, I felt strangely liberated. And after many years of working for various clients, I got together with a few friends and we made an independent documentary which has done very well recently.
So tell me about this film that you worked on.
The film's about the journey of a man, Joshua Milton Bly, and he killed a lot of people during Liberia Civil War, very brutal warlord, and he used to run a battalion of child soldiers. So many years ago, a group of us decided to make this film, an independent film, not for a client, and it was made over 5 years. I'm one of the producers of the film, and the film involved us going to Liberia on and off for several years and shooting this man's ostensible search for redemption. So during the process of filmmaking, I took a lot of photographs, and I kept a journal which I've shown you, which I published as a catalog for which I published as a catalog for a photo exhibition I held in several Indian metros lately. So the film The Redemption of General Butt Naked was shortlisted for Best Film at this year's Sundance Film Festival, and it finally won for Best Cinematography. So it was very nice to go for the festival, meet other storytellers from around the world who had a lot of very similar stories to tell. I empathized with a lot of them, and it felt really good. It was a humbling experience as well.
Now you've contributed to the making of over 60 films. Some of these have been about war. What was it like to film and work in war zones?
I've been a part of film productions in Afghanistan, Iraq, and West Africa, in Liberia. And the experiences varied. A lot of the time was spent waiting or doing rather boring things. When people talk about war photography, they focus on the most exciting bits, or the most glamorous bits, or the bits that call to mind the most amount of testosterone expended. But for the most part, working in these places is rather miserable, because you come across terrible human suffering, and you're supposed to take that experience, that limited experience of other people's suffering, and package it in a form, more often than not, that makes money for some network or for some client. The greatest challenge of working in a war zone is to be able to tell the truth and to be able to define that truth for yourself. My own personal experience was it was humbling. It was very humbling to be in these places, because you begin to see, one, how much bullshit there is in the world, two, how lucky and fortunate you are to be able to visit these places for short periods of time and leave. You go there for a short period of time, you have a very limited view of things, and you leave, and you try to make sense of all the rubbish you see. And very often it's easy to extrapolate your experience into gimmicky little anecdotes and so on and so forth, which for me is not possible.
When it comes to photography, who or what is your ideal muse?
When I shoot a photograph, I try and tell a story larger than just what I see, or larger than just my own view of things. So to find the epic in the ordinary, to discern what is divine in an image from what is just profane or ordinary, I like to take photographs like that.
Now you call yourself an artist, not a filmmaker, a photographer, or a writer. Why is that?
For me, art is a finger pointing at something much larger than yourself. So it's something which I'd like to think flows through me and rather than from me. So all of us consider our art to be our own, but we stand on the shoulders of masters and backgrounds and histories that go back a very long time. This has flowed through humanity. So I feel privileged to be a vessel for this flow, if you will, or I'd like to think of it that way. But I'm involved in writing, in filmmaking, in photography, and in other forms of art, if you want to use that word. So I consider myself an artist, yes.
Ryan, it's been great having you on Chai with Lakshmi, and it's been really interesting getting an insight into your work, not just here as a photographer, but also internationally as a filmmaker. Your book, the journal, or if I can call it a photo journal, has been very interesting to read and go through, because it's almost like a conversation. It's as if you were talking to me, when I was reading the book. So it was really fascinating. So I wish you all the best as your creative journey continues. And I do hope that you keep everyone on Chai with Lakshmi posted with your achievements and journey here on.
Thank you, Lakshmi.